Are we doing it in the order that they're on the agenda?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I just handle my
Okay. Good morning, everybody. All right. Can everybody hear me okay? All right. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Just want to wish everybody happy holidays and hope everybody's had a pretty good weekend so far. Well, had a good weekend, I should say. It just ended. Okay. The December 13th, 2021 meeting of the Charlotte Zoning Board of Adjustment is now in session. I am Douglas Wilson, Chairman. Also sitting on today's board is Deborah Dryden, John Floyd, Marshall Williamson, and Raghu Katha. Also present are Shad Spencer, who's Zoning Board Administrator, Lisa McCarter, Planning Project Manager, Jill Sanchez Myers, Senior Assistant City Attorney, Terry Edwards, Clerk to the Board, and we have our court reporter today with Vertex Court Reporting. I would like to start to acknowledge that this is the 12th meeting of the Charlotte Zoning Board of Adjustment of 2021 and the second in-person meeting of 2021. I would like to ask for your patience today as we proceed. There may be slight delays as we transition between speakers, participants, and presentations. The Zoning Board of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial body that is governed by the North Carolina General Statute and the Charlotte Zoning Ordinance. We conduct evidentiary hearings on requests for variance and appeals, among other requests. Before we begin to hear the cases on today's agenda, I would like to provide some important information on the steps that were taken to ensure that each party's due process rights are protected. Second, each applicant was notified before being placed on today's agenda that this meeting would be conducted in person. Third, notice of this meeting was provided to the applicants and the public in several ways. Notice of today's hearing was mailed to property owners within 300 feet of each subject property and notified the property owners of the in-person platform. The letter also stated to contact the city immediately if there were any objections to the cases being heard on today's agenda. Notice was also provided by placing signs on each property and by publishing notice on the city's website. The notice of today's meeting contained information about means by which the public can access today's proceeding. Finally, any individual wishing to participate in today's evidentiary hearings were required to sign up prior to today's proceedings. This information was also included on the board's website. The application for a variance for the regulations in the zoning ordinance, the order of the recommendation agenda will be as follows. The zoning administrator or zoning staff members will identify the case and recommend approval of the variance with any recommended conditions based on specific reasons. The chairperson will ask if anyone wants to speak in opposition. If there is such a person, then the case will be moved to the regular agenda and will be heard at a later date. The chairperson will ask if the board has questions for staff or if there are any reason the board may wish to move the case to the regular agenda. The chairperson calls for a motion and a second to approve the variance. The chairperson will hold a roll call vote. Now, the order of the agenda today will be as follows. All parties who plan to give the testimony, pro or con, must be sworn in. A zoning staff member will explain why a permit was denied or why a variance is requested. The board may question the staff member, and then the applicant may question the staff member. The applicant presents their testimony for this case. The board may question the applicant, and the staff member may question the applicant. The applicant may present sworn witnesses. They will be subject to questioning. Other parties wishing to speak, pro or con, will be given reasonable time to present sworn testimony. The staff and then the applicant will be given an opportunity for rebuttal. The chairperson calls for a motion and a second to approve the variance, and then the chairperson will hold a roll call vote. After hearing each case, the board will review each case and render a decision. This is usually done in closed deliberations after hearing each regular agenda case. However, the board may elect to take up to 30 days to render a decision. You may remain present during the deliberations, or you may call the zoning staff after the session to receive the decision of the board. All exhibits must remain with the board. Exhibits were required to be provided to the clerk no later than 12 p.m. on Friday, December 10th, in order to be considered at this hearing. If your case is not appealed to the Superior Court after 30 days, you may pick them up or they will be destroyed. If you feel there is a conflict of interest of any member of the board or any association that would prejudice your case, please let it known before the start of the case. The board is acting in a quasi-judicial capacity for purposes of this hearing and can only accept sworn testimony. While the board will not specifically exclude hearsay evidence, it is only given limited weight. The North Carolina State Bar has issued an advisory opinion that it is the unauthorized practice of law for any individual who is not an active member of the bar to appear for another or otherwise assist or represent another at a quasi-judicial hearing on zoning and land use matters. All applicants should have been provided with a copy of that advisory opinion as part of the application packet. If you are a property owner or a non-lawyer here on behalf of a property owner and have not received a copy of that opinion, please discuss with the board's clerk of the documents and they will be provided to you. If, as a result of this advisory opinion, the applicant would like to request a continuance of his or her case, the board will consider such a request at the start of that case. Appeal from this board to the Mecklenburg County Superior Court is you may have up to 30 days to do that. The board's written decision in which to appeal that is in accordance with the North Carolina General Statute 160A-388E. In order to receive a written copy of the decision, any aggrieved party must file a written request for a copy of the board's decision by filling out the form, which must be provided with the board's clerk or chairperson at the time of the hearing of the case. We will hear 3 cases today, 2 agenda items, and 1 appeal. The first case is case number 2021-016. And I see some folks standing over there. You can have a seat if you like. I don't know if there was any reason to be standing. I think we have some seats there and have some over there as well. Okay. So the first case we have is an appeal, and Mr. Murray, I believe that's you. If you just want to come forward, and I will swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter at hand? And your name is David Murray. All right. Sorry. I was advised by the city attorney that we will not have to vote on the withdrawal. So by you making the withdrawal, that should be enough. And Terry, I believe that would I have to sign anything that you would send to me after this meeting about the appeal? Okay. All right, great. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Murray. Okay. So, with that said, since that consisted of case 2021-016, as well as case 20-21 -017, then the next case we would hear today on the agenda would be case number 2021-101. And I will give Lisa some time to get to that PowerPoint. Okay, and Lisa, I will swear you in, and Shad, are you going to be speaking as well? Okay, I'll swear you in as well. Okay. All right, Lisa, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter at hand? And Shad as well? All right, thank you. Okay, you may proceed.
Our first case is a residential rear yard and setback variance. Oh, I'm sorry. It's actually a lot area variance request. They're requesting an 800 square foot variance from the 6,500 square foot minimum lot area for a duplex dwelling to construct a duplex. And I'll give you a minute to look over your reports.
Okay, Lisa, you may proceed.
Exhibit 1 is a vicinity map of the property. Exhibit 2 is a zoning map. The property is zoned R8 single family. Exhibit number 3 is an aerial map of the property. Exhibit number 4 is a close-up aerial map of the property, and the property is currently vacant. Exhibit number 5 is the variance request. The property was subdivided in 1929 and is 5,700 square feet. The property has been vacant since 2009, according to aerial photos. The property meets the minimum lot area for a detached dwelling, but doesn't meet the minimum 6,500 square foot for a duplex. The applicant would like to construct a duplex on the property and is requesting a variance of 800 square feet to permit the duplex. Exhibit number 6 is considerations. Staff does not find the requested variance meets the criteria for granting a variance in the zoning ordinance. The hardship results from actions taken by the applicant and personal circumstances and the desire to construct a duplex. A detached dwelling is permitted without a variance. The hardship doesn't result from conditions that are peculiar to the property because there are other options to permit a duplex. The property could be rezoned to urban residential, which permits a 3,000 square foot minimum lot size for duplexes. The adjacent properties to the east along Baltimore Avenue were rezoned to urban residential conditional district. And you can see the site plan in the bottom of the screen. This was to accommodate attached single-family dwelling units, and this was rezoning petition 2020-18, and that was approved by the City Council in 2020. Another option that they would have would be to purchase adjacent property to increase the square footage of the subject property by 800 feet and bring the property up to the minimum lot area for a duplex. Exhibit number 7 is further considerations. The hardship is not unique to the property. The 3 adjacent properties to the west along Baltimore Avenue are also zoned R8. They're approximately the same size, 5,700 square feet in area, and contain nonconforming duplexes that were constructed in 1950 prior to the current ordinance requirements. The neighboring duplexes are nonconforming and they can only continue under specific provisions. They can't be resumed once they're discontinued for 12 months. The requested variance is not consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the zoning ordinance. Although there are 3 adjacent nonconforming duplexes along Baltimore, constructing a new duplex on a lot that doesn't meet the minimum lot area wouldn't meet the intention of the zoning ordinance, because the intent of the nonconforming chapter is to regulate and limit the continued existence of nonconformities. And exhibit number 8 is a photo of the property. And that's the end of my presentation. If you have any questions for me.
Does the board have any questions for staff?
Lisa, if I understand correctly, they need 800 more to build a duplex.
Correct.
So why is it there? Other duplexes on the same street that have been essentially grandfathered in. And then there are some other parcels also along the same street. City Council has rezoned those as allowed.
Correct. The property owners of the ones that were rezoned actually applied for the rezoning, but the City Council approved it.
What's the significance, looking at the findings of fact conclusion, what's the significance of section 5.108? Would this be establishment that is not?
It's a structure that's not permitted, so yeah. Non-compliant structure.
Any other questions?
Are there vacant lots along this parcel that if we do this rezoning, does it do a domino effect that they could then come in and ask for the same variance of the 800 feet?
I don't believe there's, it looks like they're all pretty much built out.
Okay.
Most of them with non-conforming duplexes. So these are all that's built out along the street. These are the ones that were just rezoned immediately next door so that they could get more density in the attached units.
Okay, I have one more question. The other duplexes, if one of those was torn down for any reason, could they rebuild a duplex on that property?
No.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Terry, is there anybody here to speak in opposition? Okay. Okay, all right. May you please come forward so you can be sworn in and to give your testimony? Okay. Okay. If you could please state your name and address. Okay. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter at hand? All right, you may proceed with your presentation. I'm assuming that you have a PowerPoint to show?
Yes. We do.
Okay, all right, great.
Okay. All right. So again, my name is Daniel Pedrasky. Thank you again for having us out here to meet with us on this case. I've been a developer in the Charlotte area for about 4 years now. Small real estate company. And this is Rob.
Rob, I'm a local real estate agent. I've worked with Dan in the past and we're working together on this as well.
On this particular project. Let's see. So again, this is just, I know Lisa, you probably covered a lot of these, but this is just an overall picture of where our actual parcel is in relation to the downtown Charlotte. So again, we're requesting an 800 square foot variance from a 6,500 square foot minimum area for a duplex dwelling. And so this is a survey that we have. It shows we are 50 feet wide by 114 feet in depth here of our lot dimensions. And as you mentioned, it was created in 1928, where you already have some of the duplexes on there because they were pre-constructed before the minimum requirements restricted us. We're zoned R8. As you mentioned, the 4 properties immediately to the left are also zoned R8, and they all have existing duplex structures on them. All of those are, according to Polaris, the exact same size and the lot dimensions. To the right, that's where they've rezoned it. They're building high-density 20-unit townhomes there, where they're going to be, I believe, about 1,400 square feet or so. 3-story townhomes there, and then directly across the street, they have multiple apartment complexes, which are zoned R22MF. And so these are some of the adjacent duplexes. This one, 2720 and 2718 Baltimore Avenue are directly to the left of our property. Again, same lot dimensions. This one is just on the other side of that, 2722 and 2724. And this one further down as well, 2726 and 2728, all being duplexes. And this one is 2730 and 2732. Again, all of these are the exact same lot dimensions as our subject property. And these are some pictures of the construction that's already going on for the adjacent high-density townhomes there. Should be 20 of those. We have a couple other pictures of what they're projected to look like once the construction is finalized there. And then these are pictures of some of the apartment complexes across the street. And so this is a screenshot of Polaris, where it shows where our subject's property here, 114 by 50. These are the 20 new unit townhomes here, and the apartment complexes are over here. All of this is a vacant property right now. And then these are the duplexes that are already on those lots. So just to help show the point, all of these are essentially the multifamily properties or high density areas where our lot here is going to be the only one that would not conform with the other ones of the surrounding community and immediate neighborhood. And actually, this property here, just a little further down, is also a duplex on an actually smaller lot than ours as well, being 114 deep and only 45 feet wide. And then, so the hardships that we have, unnecessary hardship was result from strict application of the ordinance. The variance requirement is restricting the development of the subject lot in conjunction with the surrounding neighborhood of the current community. Our lot was established in 1928 without consideration for today's ordinances. Again, conditions that are peculiar to the property, such as location, size, and topography, the dimensions of the identical parcels on our adjacent lots that do have existing duplexes, and the 20-unit high-density project currently in progress, the lot size and location of the property should be conducive to allowing a duplex structure to meet the surrounds. And then hardships did not result from anything that the applicant or property owner has done. I mean, the old plot has sat undeveloped since it was originated. No actions that we have done or by any of the previous owners have caused this. And then the requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the zoning ordinance, such as public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. The allowance to build a duplex on the lot would be consistent with the community, which is already has duplexes on identically sized parcels and even in some case, smaller parcels. It would also coincide with the new UDO under the 2040 plan, which is supposed to take effect in 2022. I know that drafts are still going around. I think the first draft was approved a couple months ago or something along those lines. But essentially, you know, allowing for the development of single-family duplex and triplex dwellings on all lots. I mean, what we are trying to do is it's going to allow more affordable housing and help the growth of Charlotte in the direction that it seems to be progressing. Did you want to touch on the surrounds?
Yeah, I think it's, you know, the duplex would just be more fitting than what else is going on that street. Especially in the proximity to Uptown, a duplex dwelling would just be more appropriate. And again, speaking to what Dan said, lower cost housing and higher density just seems to be the future plan, sure, at least in that area. So that's how we feel.
Yeah.
And I know the other ones were there before, but even that lot that's smaller than ours, I think it's by almost 600 square feet smaller, has that existing duplex on it. That's really.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned in your slides, Lisa, other options to do. I mean, this was essentially the most, I guess one of the quickest turnarounds. Were asking for the rezoning like they did with the 20-unit townhomes. I mean, that time frame was going to just have a longer turnaround, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys have any questions?
What's
That's
the
right.
size of these duplexes? I mean, are they 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom? What,
The existing ones that are
no,
next
the
door?
ones that you want to build?
Oh, we're looking to build something that would be similar to the townhomes, where it's gonna be maybe 1,400 square feet aside, anywhere probably from 1,200 to 1,400 square feet.
So tall and thin.
Yes.
And if, just to kind of piggyback on Ms. Dryden's question, there was a slide that you showed that had like a 3D dimension of what the property would look like.
Oh, yes,
Back, yeah, it had, so this is what it would look like?
this is what's currently being built next door.
Okay,
So, yeah,
There's our lot, and then immediately to the right will be 20 of these.
okay.
Sitting right next door. So
But your duplexes would be taller than the ones in adjacent lots though,
I
correct?
mean,
to the left, you mean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, those are structures that were built in,
So those are single story and you're talking about doing 2 stories or 3?
whatever a design would call for, 2 or 3. These, I think, are going to be 4 total, because they'll have rooftop terraces. I don't think we would go that high.
no.
And there was another slide that showed the existing construction that was currently taking place. I just want to get a visual on that again.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah, so these are the townhomes that are.
but that's not your company, that's from somebody else, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is our lot right here, and this is where the,
So your lot's going to be where these current trees are?
yes, right where they start.
Okay. And it looks like there's a car right next to it. Is that somebody else's property right there?
Correct, yes. So this is the only property that we own. Those are the existing.
That car is actually parked on our property.
Okay.
Because if you go to another slide, I think before this, you could see the duplex that's right next door to us on the
Yeah,
left.
we go back a few.
See that?
So it's this house right here.
Yeah,
So you see.
so
the-
essentially this is
Yeah,
roughly where our property line is.
And John, you brought up a point. You said city council's already approved those other, I guess, construction in that area, right?
And that's what I'm saying. The townhome complex,
Yeah.
the city council rezoned those to.
There's line. Oh,
yeah.
And while you're going back to that, has your company received any complaints from neighbors there about construction, anything like that?
No.
Okay,
yeah, not that we've been aware of.
okay.
My understanding, I don't know this to be true. Someone in this room might have more knowledge than me, but. Townhomes along
Mhm.
of the same opportunities. It's made this big, it's not.
Okay.
A higher density, I think like a mid-rise, to my understanding. I
Okay.
don't know if that's entirely factual, but I think that's it.
So is the only reason you guys didn't go on the secret to rezone the property just the time?
We felt the variance was acceptable, at least in our opinion. Especially because the neighboring duplexes and the plot size could accommodate. So that's why we chose to go this way.
Do you have any questions for city staff by chance?
I don't think I do.
No,
I guess.
I mean, I know how you pointed out, there might be other options to do, but like he was saying, I mean, this seemed like it would be the most fitting option for us to take to try and achieve this. Just so we could, again, fit in with the surrounds that is already established there and that is currently being built there as well.
Mr. Ryder, you have any more questions?
City staff recommended that you purchase the property that you need to make this a conforming lot. Where would you purchase that from? Is it to the right of your lot?
There is, yeah, we wouldn't be able to this is the only property that we own right there, so we couldn't just
That's all,
buy a part of the other ones.
sorry,
Yeah.
that land is all owned by Hopper.
Uh-huh.
Part of their-
Yeah, right here. This is all the other,
So there's no other land to purchase.
Thank you.
One more question. The 4 duplexes left of your property, are they grandfathered in or are they rezoned?
I believe they're grandfathered in. Is that right, Lisa?
Got it. Thank you.
Do you have any questions, Ms. Williamson?
I've got a question for Sharon.
Sure.
So going back to section 5.10. If found that all 4. Section 5.1.
Shad, I have one more question. If we permit this variance, what is the impact? Say, are there any lot of other lots around that place that we may have, they may fall under this? Yeah.
It's the only. Set a precedent for the.
Sure. Okay.
Set a precedent for the.
Yeah, but the 2020 UDO would allow them anyways, right?
Current draft, the did.
Got it, thanks.
So under the proposed UDO, duplex would be
Currently. That sounds big enough.
Does the new UDO show, are there any limitations to building a duplex on a property? I mean, does the property have to be a certain size, or can they just throw a duplex up anywhere? So what's the minimum, do you know what the minimum new lot size is, or have they? I haven't read through that carefully enough. While you're looking that up, I'll ask the developers, do these duplexes, do they share a driveway? Where's the driveway for these duplexes?
See,
So it would, so there will be independent driveways. So I don't see two driveways for
yeah,
that.
I mean, most of them don't have. It's like driveways on.
But, yeah, I think with the setbacks on our lot, Lisa might know more, but I think we have the width for two individual driveways. 50-foot wide lot, I think it's a 10-foot setback on each side.
Okay,
Okay, so an average driveway, I think is 12 feet wide.
Right.
Wide lot area. Whether, like we have R3 through R8 today.
Small houses, we should.
It's a lot.
It's gonna look like towers, okay.
Yeah. So zoning, I don't know yet, this R. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
both of those districts have area.
That's small.
Yeah.
You want density, you're gonna have density about. Thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Okay, are there any more questions for the applicant or any more questions for city staff? Okay. If not, that concludes that concludes the presentation of evidence, excuse me. The board will now begin its deliberations. Interested parties are not permitted to address the board during this portion of today's meeting. However, everyone is permitted to remain present and listen quietly to the board's discussion and vote. And board members, as you know, if we have to ask questions of Shad or Lisa or the applicant, we'll have to go out of deliberations and go back into session. So with that, now that we are in deliberations, I guess I will start with Ms. Dryden, get your take on where you are on this case.
I'm conflicted because I don't want to set a precedent for developers to come in and tear down these other duplexes and then just come in and ask to appeal the size of the lot. And I know the new UDOs will probably do some tweaks. So, I mean, in 2 years, we're really not going to be having this discussion. This lot would be big enough. I also have a concern about, I mean, I know that next to this lot, there are these 3-story or 4-story townhomes. But the 4 lots next to them are single family or 1-story buildings. And then to build this huge two-story or three-story structure seems out of character for that part of the neighborhood. I don't know. I need to hear what other people have to say before I make a final decision. Those are my concerns.
Okay. Mr. Ragu?
I have the same concerns as Deborah, so, but I'm in favor, but at the same time, I'm struggling to see what's the right decision.
Sure, Mr. Williamson.
My concern is the lack of rezone. We're not supposed to be a rezoning function, and so that's my biggest concern. And I agree with Ms. Stride that the three-story duplex right next to the single-story ones that were built in 1950 that may be offensive to the neighbors, but that's not for me to judge. I think, just going by the written statement of what law currently exists, we're supposed to not act as a rezoning agent.
Mr. Floyd?
Yeah, this is a tough one because I do think a duplex on that property makes sense, right? I mean, like, given everything that's around it, I mean, I get what they're trying to do. That's what I would be trying to do. I think that fits in with what's next door and what else is being constructed in that area. But, to grant a variance, I say this every time, we've got these 4 factors that we have to look at. And if we can't establish the 4 factors, then we can't grant the variance. And one of those is an unnecessary hardship. And I just can't find an unnecessary hardship. You can still build on the lot. You just can't build a duplex. And I have trouble finding that the hardship is due to things that are peculiar to the property when you've got 4 other properties right next door that all have the same issue, which is the size of the property. So there's nothing peculiar here. I'll echo what Mr. Williamson said. I think this is really something where I want them to get the relief they seek, but it's probably better to get it rezoned or wait for the new UDO to come in compliance. I don't think this is something that we can do based on the limitations on our authority through a variance. So, I mean, as much as I like the project, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense there. I just don't think legally it's something I can vote in favor of.
This is always hard because, like you said, we deal with this a lot at every meeting. Ms. Strider brings up a good point with the neighbors that are in the single-family homes, but we have no, jurisdiction or anything with that. Also, the size of the lot, like right there, it just looks so small. But then City Council has approved the building of these duplexes, and then you have these other ones going up here. So it's just one of those situations where it's like, what do you do, So I'm torn as, I mean, I know what our responsibility is, but it's also we're getting a lot of cases like this now where it just comes before us and it needs to probably be rezoned and then come back. So, yeah.
In a lot of ways, I feel like you took the shortcut rather than going through the rezoning process, which would have, I'm sure, been approved because of the adjacent rezoning. You decided that you would circumvent that and just come to us and say, ask for a variance. And I agree that that's not our job. Our job is not rezoning. Our job is to help homeowners realize what they can build and what they can't build. And I agree, a duplex seems like the perfect thing to put there because there's duplexes, there's apartments, I just don't feel like it's this board's responsibility to circumvent the rezoning process for you.
Any other thoughts or comments from the board in our deliberations? Okay. Hearing none, that will close our deliberations and now we'll move into voting. Is there a motion to approve or deny the variance?
Dryden, I make a motion to not approve this variance.
Williamson, second.
All right, there's been a motion to deny the variance by Ms. Dryden, a second by Mr. Williams. Mr. Williamson, excuse me. Now we move into a roll call vote. Mr. Williamson?
Yes.
Yes, to
To deny.
deny, okay. Mr. Floyd?
Yes.
Ms. Dryden?
Dryden, yes to deny.
Mr. Ragu?
Yes to deny.
All right, Wilson, yes to deny. Okay, the variance has been denied. Now, we move into the findings, facts, and conclusions of law.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
the board may want to look at finding of fact number 19. I think there was some conflicting evidence regarding whether purchasing adjacent property is an option. So
Yeah, can we just strike that
No, I
paragraph?
think so because
I'm sorry to hear you want to strike. What part of that is?
Just strike the whole paragraph. I think we've got from a factual basis
mhm.
on paragraph 18, I think gives us what we need.
We're striking 19.
Just strike the whole paragraph. I don't think it's necessary.
Okay.
Was there any reference to, you mentioned that 5.108 is that something that we need to look at?
No, there's nothing in the findings of fact.
Okay.
Conclusions of law related
All
to
right.
that.
Thank you. All right. Dryden, I make a motion to approve the finding of facts and conclusions of law as amended by striking number 19.
Is there a second? Motion's been moved to approve the finding, facts, and conclusions of law as amended. And there's been a second by Mr. Ragu. Now we go to a roll call vote. Mr. Ragu?
Yes.
Ms. Dryden?
Dryden, yes.
Mr. Williamson?
Williamson, yes.
Mr. Floyd? Wilson, yes. Okay. So that concludes case number 022021-101. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is the approval of the November minutes. As board members have had a chance to review the minutes.
yes, you can.
All right.
Dryden, I make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
Williamson, second.
Okay. There's been a motion to approve the November minutes by Ms. Dryden and a second by Mr. Williamson. Now moving to a roll call vote. Mr. Williamson? Ms. Dryden?
Dryden, yes.
Mr. Ragu? Mr. Floyd? Wilson, yes. Okay. Terry, is there anything else that we need to cover for today? Okay, and our next meeting, I know last meeting, and John, you weren't, you missed this part. We spoke about our January meeting, and I know we talked about having, I think, 2 in January. There was one on the 20th, and then possibly, I forgot what we were. Okay, so. Okay, so we still probably will meet at the ending of January then. Okay. Okay, all right.
What do I need to read up on? Something about the tree ordinance? Was that something that you said? Yeah. Was that something, if the new UDO is passed? Sorry. I'm confused. Yeah.
Oh, that's right, yes.
What is it? Okay, all right.
Maybe because,
Yeah.
maybe I'll be off the board, but
Speaking of off the board, so when we show up in January, who's here, who's not? John, you said you're rolling off?
January went my last meeting.
Yeah, we would really hate to lose you.
yeah.
Yeah. Because,
You know, Jill, when looked like you were looking at.
I just have the names. I don't know.
yeah, okay. Yeah, all right, yeah.
We're gonna approve some more people for us. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'll be
And
here.
you'll be here, okay. Okay.
I have 2 more years.
Yeah.
This is just my-
And I'm not rolling up anytime soon, right? And my head like, what, 2023 or something like that? Damn. Okay. So, huh?
I'm thinking I might have.
Yeah, true, yeah, I may have to read up on that. Okay, yeah, lunch not gonna get here to like what, like, yeah. Well, you can put in the fridge for me, you can put in the, oh, you got some Christmas cookies? Yeah, I'll take some Christmas cookies, there you go, yeah. All right, well, I guess that's it. Look, you guys have a Merry Christmas. When are you gonna be off for the holidays? When's the city closing down for you? Friday? Okay, well, you have some time, so, and yeah, you're gonna be in January, you're gonna be here, right? Shad needs to write a book on how to retire young. You know? Yeah. I mean, Shad, you're too young to retire. What are you gonna do for the rest of your life, man? Are you gonna be playing golf and going fishing and all that? God, could you imagine retiring at his age? All right. Yeah, you're just out. I know. You're gonna walk in and people are gonna be like, you're gonna be like the youngest retiree at meetings and oh, so we're still recording, right? Okay. I apologize about that. All right, you can guess you can cut the camera off, yes. Because we didn't adjourn. I'm sorry about that. Okay.